I didn't cry when she was born. I was too busy listening. The room was full of sounds that didn't belong to Joy, machines chirping, shoes squeaking, voices clipped and efficient. Someone said a number. Someone else repeated it, louder, as if volume could stabilize it. My daughter made a thin sound, more suggestion than cry. And then she was gone through a side door before I could memorize her face. Later someone handed me a cupboard and a cup of water. Later still, I was told the NICU number and how to scrub my hands. The word early was used a lot, like a cushion. Early as in unexpected. Early as in fragile. Early as in don't imagine too much yet. That night, I texted my parents, she came early. We're in the ICU, please keep us in your prayers. I stared at the screen long enough to watch the timestamp harden. No bubbles. No reply. I told myself it was late. I told myself they were asleep. I told myself everything I'd been telling myself since I was a kid. The NICU teaches you how to be quiet. You learn which chairs creak and which don't. You learn how to stand without casting a shadow over the incubator. You learn how to love through plexiglass. Days passed measured in milliliters and percentages. I learned the names of nurses faster than I learned how to sleep. I stopped checking my phone after the third day. Silence, when expected, is easier to carry. My parents have always been people who respond eventually. Eventually with advice. Eventually with a verse. Eventually with a story about someone who had it worse and survived. Their absence had a shape I recognized. It didn't shock me. It just confirmed something old. On the 7th day, I went to the hospital cafe because it was the only place no one whispered. I ordered soup I didn't want and sat alone at a small round table meant for two. Around me, people laughed too loudly or stared into phones with the intensity of prayer. I checked my phone out of habit, not hope. 70 missed calls. They stacked on the screen like an accusation. Then a voicemail notification. Then a text, sent 12 minutes earlier, please pick up. It's serious. My first thought was irritation, sharp and surprising. Now it's serious. Now the phone works both ways. I didn't listen to the voicemail. I stared at the text until the soup cooled. The power in that moment was subtle but real. I could delay. I could choose when this conversation happened. I could protect the quiet I'd built around my daughter like scaffolding. I picked up anyway. My father didn't say hello. He said my name the way people do when they're afraid of time. He told me my mother had collapsed at church. He told me words like stroke and ambulance and admitted. He didn't cry. He sounded organized, almost rehearsed. He asked if I could call the hospital they were at, because they were asking questions he didn't understand. In the background, I could hear a nurse, not ours, asking him to step aside. It was strange, realizing how quickly roles can flip without ceremony. A week ago, I'd asked for prayers. Now I was being asked for comprehension. For translations. I told him which questions to ask. I told him what the terms probably meant. I didn't offer comfort. I offered clarity. He asked if I could come. I looked through the cafe window at nothing in particular. I thought about my daughter's chest rising with mechanical patience. I thought about the chair I slept in. I thought about how no one had asked me how I was. I can't. I said. It wasn't cruel, it was factual. There was a pause, not anger. Adjustment. Can you talk to the doctor? He asked. Yes, I said. If they call me. They did. Authority entered my life that day in the form of 2 hospitals, and a set of protocols that didn't care about family history. I spoke to a physician I'd never met and relayed information back to my father. I did it calmly. Professionally, I was good at it. What I didn't do was soften the edges. I didn't minimize. I didn't add reassurance where there wasn't evidence for it. I gave them what was necessary and nothing more. Over the next few days, my parents called regularly. They updated me, I updated them. We spoke like colleagues managing adjacent crises. At one point, my father said, "We should have answered your message sooner." He didn't apologize. He didn't explain. He just placed the sentence between us and waited to see if it would hold. I know, I said. That was all. My mother recovered enough to speak. She asked about the baby. I told her facts: weight gained, oxygen reduced. I didn't send photos. I didn't narrate my fear. Empathy, I was learning, doesn't require self-erasure. My daughter came home weeks later, smaller than the clothes we'd bought. Louder than anyone expected. Life rearranged itself around her in ways that felt both miraculous and exhausting. My parents met her months after that. The visit was polite. Careful. They held her like people holding something borrowed. Nothing was resolved, nothing was punished, but something had shifted. I no longer sent messages into silence and pretended it was weather. I no longer filled gaps with excuses on their behalf. When they called, I answered if I could. When I couldn't, I didn't explain. The power wasn't loud, it didn't announce itself. It was just there, quiet, undeniable, and finally mine to manage. And that, I discovered, was enough.